Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. I really appreciate you folks coming today for our monthly urban updates with the Urban Soil Health Group. We have today we've got a pretty short schedule, but we've got some really great speakers that are coming in today. And we've got so we're going to start off with our technical topic, and we've got Larencia Williams from Madison County. She's a district conservationist with NRCS, and she'll be sharing with us about a workshop that we co-hosted with them last week. We called it Obtaining NRCS Funding. And then after that, we'll be joined by Shane Johnson, who is the new outreach coordinator with NRCS, and he'll be talking a little bit about himself and his role here with NRCS. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Larencia to come on in um, and start sharing a little bit about that workshop that we did.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everybody. Like you said, I'm the district conservationist over in Madison County. That's in Anderson. And I had the pleasure of being able to join in with Terry and host this event for some of the folks out in Madison County. And it was a really good turnout, especially for something that it was kind of put together this year. Terry brought the idea to myself after we kind of had a conversation about what the applications look like in Madison County. And in the past in the well yeah in 2024, most of my applications that were funded through equip were for urban farmers and specifically high tunnels. And so this was a really great event, and then a lot of the inquiries for 2025 are for urban farmers. And so yeah, we thought that this would be a good idea to kind of bring NRCS programs to the community and discuss how they will benefit those who aren't traditional corn and soybean farmers. And so we had a good turnout. I think about 10 maybe that ended up showing up. It was probably a little bit more, a little bit less, but it was a really intimate crowd. Kara was the main presenter, and she really did a good job at kind of going through the background of NRCS to begin with, because a lot of people just don't know about our agency just in general. So she went through the background, and then she did a really good point of connecting our conservation practices and how would apply to urban farmers and those small farmers in the area. She went through some of the main ones like the high tunnels, the micro irrigation, the cover crops, those pollinator plantings, and things of that nature. And she really broke down kind of some of those acronyms and everything like that that a lot of us or some of the people are really scared of because there's so many. So it was a really good turnout. A lot of the questions from the audience were kind of what type of technical assistance applies to them. The are there is there a minimum acreage or maximum acreage amount that people have to have? Um, some of those questions that I think a lot of people usually have, but they don't want to kind of, well, they're probably too scared or just don't want to take the time out to ask those questions. And so a lot of those questions were asked, and we were able to go through those, and it was an intimate setting. So I think that that took away some of the intimidation too of asking some of those questions that people usually, like I said, don't want to get into. And so yeah, we went through that, and I was only able to take a couple of pictures, but I kind of took some pictures of just like our the attendees and whatnot. And so also too, we were able to go through kind of what the typical office visit looks like for myself and a customer. And I was able to go through the different types of things that I kind of talk about whenever I'm getting to know a new producer or a new customer, kind of some of the things that I ask about. We also made it known that we offer technical assistance through the Urban Soil Health Group as well as NRCS and the Soil and Water Conservation District. So the attendees understood that although we are talking about NRCS funding and contracts and money obligations and whatnot, there was no obligation for any of the customers or producers to have to go and to sign into a contract with us. So they were made well known that, and then also too. I went through kind of a little bit, touched on a little bit of the partnership that we have with the Urban Soil Health Group and the Farm Service Agency. It kind of all ties hand in hand with funding and how they're able to get into these programs and get some assistance. And then last but not least, I kinda went through just, a quick timeline of how application to contract works. It's not like a permanent or a solidified timeline, just kind of a gist of how everything works. There's always changes year to year with our contracts and our deadlines, so I kinda let them know that, although you may sign up for funding, it may take a year before something actually happens as far as getting funding for a contract and everything. So it was a lot of good information that was put out. Like I said, Kara, she really did a really great job at going into detail about the programs and what we have to offer and how it applies to them. So they got a lot of great information. They were able to ask a lot of questions. I really think that it was a good starter meeting. I feel like that if we're able to have these, not even just once a year, because we get these second signups and everything sometimes throughout the year, and I feel like it would be beneficial to kind of have them multiple times a year. And I think that some of the other surrounding counties may benefit from it. I'm not 100% sure about their applications and kind of the needs in their county, but it really was, I think, beneficial for Madison County. And I think that it would be good to have another one maybe. And this time we'll probably be able to advertise a little bit more and a little bit longer to get more people. But yeah, Madison County it has a lot of urban farmers and producers, and so I really think it reached them really well. So that's all I have, y'all.
Thanks, Larencia. Would you be willing to share just like some of the feedback we had gotten at the end of the time together and like what some of the participants said about what it was like to have this versus just walking into the office?
Oh yeah, so it was a lot of really good feedback, but there was some comments made like there was a guy who made the comment that he had gotten more information or he had learned more at that meeting than he did when he had walked into an office to try to get some information about NRCS funding. And so that was it was kind of an eye opener. I'm not sure whose office he had went to. He said it wasn't Madison County, but it was kind of eye-opening to hear that just this small intimate meeting, he was able to hopefully have a lot of his questions answered. Also, too, there were people who were saying that they felt more comfortable with asking because like I said, it was an intimate group. It was formal. Kara kind of did her presentation sitting down just to kind of invite that warm feeling. So a lot of them were just happy that they were able to ask those questions and we were all really eager to give them feedback, and it wasn't like a judgmental type of thing because, like I said, the policy part and the acronyms and even just the government in general kind of gives people that antsy, feeling they don't really know if they want to kind of go down that road. So they were all really grateful that we were able to give them this information and they were able to connect with us one on one. And even after the meeting, a lot of them stayed behind to kind of talk to us each individually with even more questions. And I actually made a couple of connections to set up some appointments for some of them too to stop by the office so that we can discuss 2025 funding. So it really was a lot of really good feedback, honestly. So
Awesome. Would you recommend that other counties hold similar sorts of meetings with their folks?
absolutely. Like I said, I think for Madison County, we have a lot of urban producers that are becoming more and more interested. I'm not really sure about the surrounding counties,
Mhm.
but I think it would be beneficial even if it wasn't geared towards urban and small farms. I think just having that how to obtain NRCS funding and having it in those intimate settings definitely really open people up to be more inquisitive about the programs and ask those questions like I said like we said that they usually wouldn't ask or that they wouldn't be able to um get answers on so quickly like if they just were to typically walk into an NRCS office. And to be honest, we talked about that as well. Sometimes it's really hard for if you are wanting to get that information and then you stop by the office on a typical day a DC may not be in, or there's other things that are going on kind of in our schedules. And so they were really excited about that. So I really do recommend it, honestly, for other counties to kind of see and even if they don't have those urban applications, to see if it garners the interest because they may have those producers out there and they just think, well, I don't have 100 acres of corn and soybeans, so it may not be for me. So yeah, absolutely recommend for sure.
Yeah, I was amazed at the diversity in people that were in the room. There were the small scale, like backyard gardener kind of person, and there was livestock. There was somebody that was looking to manage their forested land. So it was an opportunity to have a wide range of people with a wide range of land uses and still get so much out of the time together. Um,
Yeah, I
I want
agree.
to take
And
just a second and let people understand, like from my end, what like the Urban Soil Health Group, what I had done too, because for you folks, it's harder for you guys to reach a wider audience or just like advertise the things that you guys are hosting or even just like hosting a class. So with the partnership with Urban Soil Health, I was able to come in, do a lot of that upfront planning, create flyers, create a registration website so that we can have follow up with folks. And then also we ended up providing light refreshments for the time as well because it was 6 p.m. Wanted to make sure that folks had an opportunity, like if they didn't have food, like that we had food there for them. And also did some advertising too. So on social media, I ended up doing a sponsored post of it targeted to the area. And it wasn't just for Madison County folks. So it wasn't that we were um, exclusive that way and saying only Madison County folks could attend. And we had people from the region there as well. Um,
yep,
and it was from my end, like it was really fun to be able to plan the event and then have you folks come in and do the beautiful presentations and talk about the programs. I learned so much during that time as well. Just having that conversation, and I really appreciated that there was the focus on making it so that it was language that everyone could understand, while
yep,
still having it within the realm of the NRCS jargon and acronyms. So
yes. And
Larencia, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, Terry. I was also going to say too, that the advertising worked because there was also someone in there that said that he had saw the ad on Facebook and he was just scrolling. He saw the ad on Facebook and he thought it applied to him. So, and I believe it was the guy that actually said something about learning more at that meeting than coming into the office. Also too, we had a couple people that emailed saying that they couldn't make it because of work things, but that they were going to kind of schedule a meeting to speak about the obtaining the funds for their urban farm. So Terry did a really great job at advertising that and putting that out. That's why I think that if it's another event and um she's given more time to do so and everything, I do think it'll reach a broader audience. And like she said, there were other people outside of Madison County that joined too, which is really interesting to hear that they actually drove down to come and hear the presentation and kind of ask their questions and everything like that. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and I remember too when we first were chatting that I was like, what do we even call this, right? Like from a marketing standpoint, trying to figure out what it is that we call this so people one know what it is and what they're getting into, but also make it enticing for them too, because you guys offer so many cool services and opportunities for folks that are landowners or working land. Um, so I was wondering if you would be willing to share, and I'm just throwing questions out at you, so if you need a second to think about it too. But like what went really, really well? What you think, and I think we've discussed part of that, but like what was the biggest highlight for you? And then for folks that may be interested in bringing this to their area, what are um some things that you wish you would have done differently, or what we could have done differently as a group to make it even more impactful, better, whatever.
Mhm. So I think the thing I think that went really well was the engagement from the people because you can have attendees show up and they kind of just stare at you with a blank stare and they're not asking questions, they're not engaging or anything. But I think the group that we had really did ask questions. They were all taking notes. They all had some pen and paper or something like that, or were typing notes in their phone, asking questions, kind of giving feedback and everything. So I think that was the best part about it because it kind of lets you know that the information is at least sticking in some form. And then also too, they were asking for cards and numbers and emails for follow-up. So I think that was the best part. I can't really say anything that went wrong, honestly. It would have been successful if one person would have showed up in my books, but I think probably the only thing I would do different is I don't know, maybe advertise for a little longer. I think we did it in maybe about 2 or 3 months, which is still a pretty good time frame to get things together and whatnot. But if we wanted to maybe garner a bigger crowd, that um, and then honestly, I can't remember who asked the question after the meeting, but someone asked if it was okay if this was a good time that we had it, that 6 to 8 time frame. And the people that were in the room, they agreed that I mean, well, they said that they would have made time regardless, whatever time it was. But I don't know, maybe the time period, I mean, the time that we had and also too, I think that the fact that daylight savings time is not on our side, that kind of makes it's dark early and people just don't want to come out. But I really wouldn't say those are bad things. I think the event went really well. I wouldn't change too much about it. I did like the intimate setting of it. I liked how the table was constructed. It was kind of in a circle, so we were kind of facing each other. I just don't have any too many bad things to say about it. It can always improve just with the amount of people and everything like that. But I think for the first go round, it went really well, in my opinion.
Awesome. Great. Uh, Larencia, do you have any questions or lingering thoughts or anything else you would like to share with the group?
Um, No questions. Like I said, I really do think that it will be beneficial for other counties to kind of partner with you all to put on something like this, and get that information out. We are moving towards a lot of those urban soil health practices with NRCS. And so I think it'll be beneficial when trying to get those recruiting options. And also, too, I think it kind of built a network. You said there was a variety of people that were kind of there and they all had different things and they were all chatting as well. So it was interesting to see them say, well, oh, you live on this side of town. I didn't know that you had this and that. So yeah, I think it's definitely beneficial. So I think those are my my final thoughts.
Yeah, and I appreciated too that someone had asked during it, like, we should make this virtual so more people can attend. And I
Oh,
think though that would be helpful, but in the other end, there's not that connection and conversation. And I think so much of the benefits that I was seeing was coming from the great conversation that you just can't have over Zoom easily
yeah,
or if at all.
agree. I agree.
Um, so there's a question in the chat. How many of the participants have we been able to follow up with since the meeting? To Larencia, how many people do you have meetings set up with or have you been able to follow up with?
Actually, two. So, Kim Richardson and there was another lady, Darlisha, one for this week and one for next week. So I got two follow-up meetings, and those are just the ones that I already reached out. It could potentially be more from those people because I think I gave my card out to almost everybody in the room. So two for sure, set in stone.
Awesome. That's amazing for because I counted 9 total people that weren't like in the industry, one of us, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that's a pretty good 2 people already have meetings and not and it's hard though too because not all of them are in the county, so they may be reaching out to their county DC as well.
Yep,
And it's
exactly.
hard to know for sure.
Right. That's what I mentioned. I said, I also mentioned too that they were aware that they can kind of get service in any of our service centers, but that is a good point. Some of them were out of Madison County and they may have reached out to their local county, DC for sure. Yep.
Great. Well, we don't have any more questions in the chat, and I know this is surprising for me to say, but I don't have any more questions for you. Um, I really appreciate you coming, Larencia, and sharing with us. And if anybody has any follow-up, I welcome them to reach out to both of us or either of us. And um, I'd love to be able to partner with more people to be able to provide similar trainings and workshops for folks just to help get that information out there. And it really was primed with the idea of like, Laurencia, you are so busy, as are all of the district conservationists. And is there an opportunity for us to set up a time to answer lots of questions in a short amount of time and really like take and make your time very effective to be able to get that information out. And I think it was a success. And we had a little bit of fun while we were doing it too.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
great. Thank you so much, Laurencia. I really appreciate it. You're welcome to stick around and for the rest of the day. And so next we're gonna have Shane Johnson. I believe I saw Shane in the group. So Shane Johnson just started with NRCS and he would like to share a little bit about himself and his role.
Good
Hi, good
morning.
morning.
Hey, I'm sorry I was late. One, I missed my reminder. I was deep in open enrollment insurance stuff, so you know how much fun that is, and I just got sidetracked. So I was a few minutes
Yeah,
late joining. Real
no
quick,
worries.
just to tag on, so I was able to attend your meeting that you've just been discussing, and I thought it was a huge success. Um, you know, when you do the math, that's 20% that she's got appointments with so far. And we can have big events with 100 people, and I don't think we would get 20% callback. So it was, in my opinion, it was very successful. I personally love the concept of the small um, round table style. Uh, so so my name's Shane Johnson. I'm the new NRCS State Outreach Coordinator. I think I'm in month 4, so I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing every day. And so it's a new role for me as far as I've been with NRCS going on 6 years, but I was an engineering technician out of Greencastle on the conservation delivery team. So we covered 12 counties out of the Greencastle office. So it's a huge daily job change. Before that, I started out my conservation with Putnam County Soil and Water. So that's really where I got my outreach enjoyment, or I guess where I really started to love the outreach aspect. I loved what I did as an engineering technician, and I really loved, to be honest, working with the small farmer and being able to learn their story, learn why they chose to do their practices the way they do. And sometimes as a technician, I didn't get that when I was out in some of the bigger row crop type practices that we did. So I'm glad to be back in the outreach role where I get to really interact with the farmer and the landowner and understand what they're trying to do. So as I said, since I'm new, I'm still trying to figure out the role. Every state does it a little bit different. So I'm, reaching out to my cohorts and finding what works for them and what doesn't, and going to try to apply that in Indiana. So for the last 3.5 months or so, I've just been trying to introduce myself to our partners. I've shared this a few times that I knew going in there was going to be a learning curve, obviously, for the job. But there's two other learning curves I didn't expect. One was learning and truly understanding how the state office itself works. That in and of itself is an entity that, as a technician, I didn't really get involved a lot with the state office personnel, other than the engineering side. So I'm learning that, and then learning the partnership. Obviously, we all know as NRCS employees that there's the partnership and that we work together. But in this position, I really am trying to understand the what each partner truly does and how the partners work together, and the roles that crisscross and sometimes seem to do the same thing. So that's the other learning curve that I'm doing. So coming in, that's my goal, is just to learn what everybody's already doing. Hopefully get my name out there so that they understand who I am, and come alongside. I don't have any grand plans as of right now, and I don't plan on coming in and like taking things over. Even with NRCS, I'm trying to come alongside what's already being done, be a resource for those that need some assistance, or like it was mentioned earlier, our DCs are super busy, just with what they already have on their plate. And outreach is part of what they're supposed to be doing as well, but sometimes they're just busy taking care of those that are automatically walking through the door. So a lot of our DCs, I think, have ideas of things they'd like to see done, or different areas that they'd like to try to reach out to, but sometimes they don't have the time. So I want to be that resource that they can use to say, hey, I've got this group I'd really like to reach out to. I just need time or help to do that. And so that's my goal, is just to be another resource that they can use to come alongside. I want to work with, obviously our soil and water districts are huge. Obviously, coming from soil and water, I understand that dynamic, and how the relationship is within our CS. And I want to utilize them as much as possible with the outreach as well. So, but back to what the roundtable thing, I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to actually attend a Women for the Land training. I was the only guy in a room of 20, learning how to facilitate the women's learning circles. And I did it for two reasons. One was to truly understand how the women's learning circles work, because it's a great outreach tool. Even though I can't be a facilitator, I want to support it whenever it takes place in the state. But the other side that I really want is, I truly believe in that model. And what we did last week, or what Terry and Larencia did last week, is really the same concept. It's that small group that feels comfortable talking. So many of us, I'm not a big fan of staying in front of 50 people and talking, but put me in front of 10 and 12, I'm a lot more comfortable. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are the same way. So, yeah, there was 12 of us, maybe 9 of them that weren't professionals. And yes, it's still a lot of work for that small number, but I think at the end of the day, obviously, with the conversation we had, the questions that were asked, the 2 that have reached out for further information, those small learning circles are a huge success, and hopefully we can use that model going forward in other groups as well. So that's really all I have. I just wanted to introduce myself. Thank you for the invite. If anybody has any specific questions for me, that's great. Otherwise, if there's things I can do to help you in the partnership, don't hesitate to reach out.
So Shane, is there anything specifically, like for the folks that are here on the call, that you would like to interact with them in a certain way? Or is there any big overarching things that you're really focusing on, that like a call to action for these folks?
I guess the call to action for me is, if you have ideas, or I guess just ideas. I mean, even I'm looking for anything. I'm looking for ways in. Let's put it that way. Like if you're already connected, so obviously my focus is what we call the historically underserved. To be honest, our full-time farmers, or a lot of them already know us. They're already walking through the door. So for the outreach position is the historically underserved, which is the beginning farmer, which is a huge, I mean, not all urban farmers are beginning farmers, but that's a huge area that obviously falls into that category. Veterans that are farmers is another one that falls under that. The socially disadvantaged. So if you're already working with some of those groups, reach out to me, because I'm looking for that. That name that I can put with a face and meet and get into that group, just so that I can help share the message that we have. So I guess that's my big thing is reach out to me if you've got ideas, or if you've got groups that you're already working with, or you're like, hey, they would probably like to know more about NRCS. At the Black Loam Conference a couple of weeks ago, I met a lady that is in charge of her farmers market there on the north side of Indianapolis. And so we talked a lot about, hey, maybe we could just, and she has like group meetings with this farmers group. And we talked about, possibly just entertaining, having somebody from NRCS coming in and talking to the group about what our practices are and what we can offer. So it doesn't have to be anything big and grand. It could be a small meeting like that, or just those opportunities to share our message.
One thing I just thought I would jump in with, Ellie Blaine here with the Urban Soil Health Program, is just, in the spirit of conversation, it's so important to have that local partnership and coordination with that outreach. And, we've chatted a lot about that, but making sure that, like in Madison County, that the district conservationist is involved in those conversations and outreach, so that we have that capacity to meet people and to go out and do those one-on-ones and have that follow-up, so that those relationships are built. And as for folks that are on the call, as you're thinking about that in your county, I know we have a range of partners here, whether it's Soil and Water or NRCS or others. So think about where urban soil health can fit in helping to navigate those relationships. If it's, hey, you need more technical assistance support, or you need more boots on the ground that can do site visits, that's something that we can help support. And we can't be everywhere, but I think it's so critical when we're talking about historically underserved producers, beginning farmers, socially disadvantaged, that we are very, that we're considerate in taking the time to reach those customers. And when we are reaching them, make sure that we have that background partnership that can come to the table and navigate those relationships and navigate those programs conversations, so that people don't feel confused and frustrated and all the other things that happen when they're just the realities of having heavy workload, new programs decisions, things like that. So challenging, but hopefully 2025, we can all work really well together.
Thanks, Ellie. Shane, I just wanted to follow up for like, if we're doing events, or if we've got programs, like event programs that are coming up that are ticking those boxes and having the historically underserved populations, do you want us to invite you out to those if you have an opportunity to attend, or how would you like to see that kind of relationship happening?
Most definitely. Yes, I can't guarantee that I can make it to everything, but yes, I would definitely love an invite. If nothing more, just to keep a pulse on what everybody's doing. There's, I know we've had some Amish events in Southern Indiana that I wasn't able to attend, but again, I knew about them, and that, sometimes I just sat in on the calls and was able to, because I can learn from, I'm not the expert. Just because I'm the outreach coordinator in Indiana doesn't mean I can't constantly learn every day. And so yeah, if you have events, definitely share them with me. the event, your event, I just sat and participated, and I was there to support. I brought some literature, but beyond that, I enjoyed the evening as well. So yeah, I don't have any intentions of coming in and taking over, but if I can be a resource and I can attend and help support, I will gladly do that all the time.
Great. Thanks so much, Shane.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not seeing any
as far as email,
questions.
as far as emails, our emails are pretty easy. It's just shane.johnson@usda.gov. So it's pretty easy to send me an email. So I'm on the website and things like that as well.
Great. Thanks, Shane. And I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but if anybody has any questions, I welcome them to put them in there. And do you have any last minute notes or nuggets to share with us?
I mean, I love the urban side. I live out in the middle of nowhere, but I have 3 raised beds, so I farm as if I live in the city. And that's just by choice. But I think what you guys are doing is amazing, and I hope to see your program continue to grow. And like I said, anytime I can help you guys out, definitely reach out.
Great. Thanks so much, Shane. I really appreciate you coming this morning and sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Looks like we're gonna have a short one today. So next we're going to go into our regional updates. So we've got first we'll start off with the Southwest. Casey.
Hi, everyone. So in the Southwest, just a few things that I have done in the past month. Get the Dirt Conference was a really big thing. Attending the IDEA conference, having some one-on-one working group meetings. Something exciting, Sullivan County is starting a community garden from the ground up. So we have just sent off soil samples. So that's exciting for them. New project, new partners and partnerships. And then also I just want to highlight the Landwise workshop that happened in Daviess County. This was a 2-day event. First day was more focused on row crop farmers. Second day was small urban farmers. Kara Bergschneider came and spoke about cover crops. And I think that we reached roughly 200 Amish. So that was a really great event. Kudos to Purdue Extension for really pushing and advertising this event. It was super successful and had lots of conversations. We also had the soil health trailer there. So that was a really good event all around. And then the 2025, we met as USH to plan for next year. So lots of exciting things coming. And then also just a reminder that this Saturday, November 16th, is the Farm Vitality Workshop. If you have registered to attend, just know that's coming up. Sales have closed for that because we are sold out. And that's all I've got from the Southwest.
That's amazing. Thank you, Casey. Next, we have the Southeast with Megan.
Hey y'all, hope everyone's well. October was really busy in the Southeast. We had a bunch of events. Get the Dirt was a wonderful time, seeing everyone there, networking, learning more things. We took a group of 8 Indiana conservation partners to the Frith Farm no-till intensive weekend workshop in Scarborough, Maine, and just had a blast there. Our Dearborn Urban soil team had their soil training, so they're going to get out on the ground and start taking soil samples. There was an Amish soil health evening with Byron Seeds and Dan Perkins out of Orange County. That was a huge success. I've been doing a lot of site visits with district conservationists to get in those NRCS contracts under the wire here. I really enjoyed our Urban Soil Health 2025 plan of work meeting last week. We had a bunch of great ideas and are working to implement them to serve you all better. I'd like to welcome to our newest working group, the OC Shift, which is the Ohio County Soil Health Initiatives and Focus Team. They just started a month or so ago, so we're going to start our training soon. I presented at the Rush County Master Naturalists educational event Sunday. Had a great time learning with them. And then I just want to remind everyone, if you are utilizing season extension, Persephone days begin November 14th. And so just as a reminder, Persephone days are the days that have less than 10 hours of sunlight. So if you are growing over late fall and into winter, your plant growth will practically stop because there's just not enough sunlight. So just as a reminder, if you are growing, don't expect a lot of growth. So if you're harvesting, be nice, leave yourself some food. Upcoming events, we've got putting our beds to bed in Jefferson County on the 21st. I forgot the 2 there. That'll be at the Soil and Water Conservation District. Then the very next day, I'm going to be sending I'll be driving a bunch of Indiana conservation professionals to Cincinnati with a visit to Green Acres Farm, where we're going to learn a lot about utilizing a biochar in amendments, as well as utilizing small ruminants in a fruit and vegetable rotation. So I'm really excited about that. I get to go to the Garden Gab series and talk about cover crops in Switzerland County in a couple of weeks. And then we're going to be doing another high tunnel build and learn with Nifty Hoops. And this time it's going to be at Gypsy Rain Organics in Harrison County. So if you're interested in attending, you can reach out to me or you can reach out to any of your district conservationists around there for more information. So thanks so much for your time. And next slide, I just have some pictures. So on the top left, that was our in-class at Frith Farm. Directly across from that, we were at Frith Farm in the field, and underneath that, our group is all smiles, sitting on the edge of the United States, right there with the sea behind us. And then on the right, I got to go to Robert Zupanzik's farm because he graciously had invited all of us Indiana conservation professionals to come and see how he utilizes cover crops as forage in his rotational system. And it was just a really great way to learn about how one professional and farmer utilizes forage to increase soil health and to make his cattle happy too. So I really appreciated that and learned a lot, as always, from Mr. Zupanzik. So I'm going to kick it over to Terry.
Great, thanks, Megan. And also, if you guys don't know the Greek mythology behind Persephone, it's a really fun story, and I'd recommend that you guys look it up. So for the Northeast, these are my highlights from the past month. I've been visiting farms across the region. I was able to attend Rooted in Resilient Homesteading Conference held by Purdue Extension in the Northeast, and I was their keynote speaker on Saturday morning. I talked about local foods and soil health and kind of how they intersect with each other. Attended Get the Dirt conference and the IDA conference. I also attended the Conservation Conversation at Purdue Fort Wayne, which is held by the Environmental Resources Center. Neat full day event with a lot of speakers from around the community and the students looking at some of the conservation research that they're doing, as well as a lot of work that's happening. I really enjoyed my time there. I also got invited by Allen County Purdue Extension to teach their soil section of the Master Gardener Basic Training. It was 3 hours of lectures and lab activities all about soil, and I am grateful for that opportunity to be able to help the budding gardeners in the Master Gardener program learn a little bit about soil, and hopefully they have a new appreciation and love of soil health. You guys heard all about the obtaining NRCS funding workshop in Madison County. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Neat experience. And I also attended the Northeast NRCS Soil Health Team meeting last week. With regards to working groups. I was able to host the site visit training for the Grant County Urban Soil Health. I had a lot of fun with those folks, and it was really neat to see just so many people show up for the new working group out there. And I'm excited that I will finally have their bucket of supplies for them as a new working group, and I'll be delivering that hopefully this week. We also hosted the compost mixer in Allen County with Allen County Soil and Water. We had really great attendance, over 50 people in attendance to talk about composting out on a farm in rural Allen County. It was a lot of fun just seeing all the people excited to learn about composting. And then had some quarterly meetings with a couple of working groups. For upcoming event, I've got the Pollinator Partnership certification that's coming up, and it is for urban farmers and gardeners. And I put a link in the chat for that, and it's a certification that involves 2 days. You have to attend 2 days. If you know anybody that might be interested, it's a neat opportunity. I'll also be speaking at that as well as attending both days. Those are the highlights for the Northeast for me. Our next meeting is coming up on December 10th. And we look forward to seeing you folks. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, check it out on the website, check us out on socials. Keep up to date with all of our events. We have been keeping our newsletter robust with information and events to keep you guys connected. Best way to connect with us. Appreciate you folks coming this morning on this fine Tuesday that feels like a Monday. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week.